DNA or RNA printing machine. So you can define every single base pair of the structure and print it out. So what they do is, one of the fields is optogenetics, to invent and produce little fragments of RNA, DNA that produce light. The second thing is this, and the second natural function of DNA is to produce substances. These parts of the DNA are producing RNA, the RNA is producing proteins, and the proteins start to build up the matter that the body is built out of. And also, like healing substances and poisons can be produced by cells. And this is one function embedded in a certain span of this DNA. So this is something they say, there's medicine, for example, artemisinin. It's very, very expensive to extract it from plants. So they just extract the little portion of the genetic information that is doing this substance and insert it into some microbes, and then they can create artemisinin in big amounts. This is medicine, how that works. So we have light-producing things and we have substance-producing things. And then there's a new field of research. They realized that the base pairs can be mounted into a chain in a way that functions like a computer, like a logical element. And this...
No, it's the other way around, Harold. The computer functions like the system, because we are and not nearly as good either, I should point out. Nothing compared to the real true system. The system was here first, and then we came along and started adding all of our bullshit stories to how it all works. But you are very close on some of the things you're about to say, and you're right about some things you're about to say, and then I'm going to go in on some areas and show you a couple things. Listen to you talk for a minute.
If you visualize this, it's like the old method with telephones, when you were dialing with sound. Every base pair has a resonance frequency. It's somewhere in the terahertz range. And if you hit the right frequency, it is opening, like a light conducting unit. And if you have a chain...
So true. That's why when the bell towers were ringing the bell, and every time the phone rang, you have a sense of anxiety. Even now, every time your cell phone rings, I don't care what cell phone you're offered, whatever sound you're offered, it's causing some reaction, and most of them anxiety.
True. Of these base pairs that react on different frequencies, you need a sequence of sounds to open all the fragments to make the entire thing conductive. So
cells. You're opening different cells.
It goes like do 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 do, and then the next part of the genetic thing is activated to either produce light or to produce poison. And this is something beautiful out of their view of the world, because if you bring this RNA or DNA into the human body, you can kind of take a radio signal and activate it from outside to produce any substance you want, or to produce any light you want. Light is emotion, light is thought, light is everything. Everything we sense as experience of ourselves. And a substance can do everything with us. It can poison us slowly, it can kill us immediately. And this is controllable by radio frequencies without risking that it is triggered without anyone to want it being triggered. And the guy said, actually, we know that this is dangerous to bring the...
That's true. That's true, but I'm out showing this, what I'm showing you. The builders and what they build, and they've been doing it for 2 years. Tens of thousands of people have gotten this information and had their eyes on it, as I was saying in a couple of videos ago. If that's the case, that's all the evidence we need to know that this is not just the group of people that I was telling you about, or the group of humans, or any government conspiracy. This is how we know it's not. because even the average Joe, even the everyday person on the street, is all part of this conspiracy, this human conspiracy. To hide, just not look, just ignore it, just walk right past it and don't even bother looking into it. I hope you're going to be different. I hope you're going to go look at this.
This out, so that was in the papers. So we introduced deactivation code, like a line of sounds that is completely taking the system out, and so that it cannot be abused by other entities. This is what he said. And he said this is airborne since 2003 in Europe.
This is airborne as long as this program's been in play, and maybe even programs prior, because all the minerals that are in here have been in here since the beginning of time, beginning of our time, I should say. So, this guy's giving you half truths, and now you're spreading those half truths, but some of it is true. So I'm going to continue on listening because you make some very good points about copper and other minerals and stuff like that.
And he said that the second war, the last war in Iraq, was only done to test the system. It was the only real reason for the war.
Yes, there is something called the New World Order, and yes, they are a big distraction from the system. They're in a lot of different places in our televisions, in our movies, in our books, and on a human scale, that is true that they exist. But to say that they're the ones that are responsible for that, no, they're hired by the slaves. The 7.8 billion zombie slaves are the ones to blame. It is all of us. We hire these people to distract us. Kings, queens, presidents, things like that. Wars and the books themselves, the Bibles, the religions, the space alien nonsense, the bullshit stories about being in outer space and that the Earth is on a big ball and all this nonsense. Those are all distractions that these 7.8 billion zombies need in order to ignore the system that's right in front of their face. That's the conspiracy. That is the biggest conspiracy. All these other conspiracies that you're talking about, you can see right through them. Let's put it that way. Because every couple sentences that come out of your mouth, I'm like, nope, nope. Yeah, I can see why you would think that, but that's not the way. Yep, I can see you told that and why you would believe it, but that's not the way it is. Here, you can see the system. You can hear it, feel it, see it all for yourself.
This is what he wanted to tell us, or from my point of view, the important stuff. Then he said some things aside that I counted to be very, very important. I don't think he did. He said they spent half a year and $10 billion to optimize the cluster topology. And this is something that I guess says nothing to anyone here. But if you're into the topic, if it's like having a virus.
They've been doing this all along. We can talk about who they is. You may not agree that it's the 7.8 billion zombies, but it is. But you can go back all the way, like I was trying to bring you the other day, back to volcanoes. We look at volcanoes as a natural occurrence that's handled by nature. We don't know that to be true. We really don't know that to be true. They could possibly be little bits and pieces of truth in the conspiracy stories that there were melting pots for smelting. And we were, at that time, when we were using the volcanoes to fill the atmosphere with whatever minerals we wanted, we might have been using them and they just got out of hand and then they were abandoned. And all the minerals that are down in them, all volcanoes containing different minerals, are going to cause different reactions to the system. Well, then we went from the volcanoes, we found better ways of doing it and easier ways. Smelting was a big one because we went through the Bronze Age and the Silver Age and the Golden Age and all these different ages. Right now we're in the aluminum and the Silver Age, like you pointed out, which is a big problem. but it's not space aliens doing it. It's not the governments doing it. It's the 7.8 billion zombies who refuse to just turn their heads up, see all the jets flying and dropping mineral streets all over the place to control the weather. They won't even look at the fucking jets. They won't look at the trails. They won't look at none of it. You know, so.
And you want to bring the virus into a human being to have him infected with this. Cluster topology is of no interest. You need to think about cluster topologies. If you want to have this RNA or DNA clusters carry intelligence, carry soul, carry an artificial life form, then it makes sense. And if you
I don't understand it. Why are you calling it an artificial life form? Because it's not bio? I don't understand where you get off just assuming that it's an artificial life form.
picture this, we are infected with this RNA, and the RNA is forming a cluster of 1 millimeter distances around us. And a cluster like this is able to carry a computer program or an artificial, non-physical structure or being. This structure can hoover through the field, but it also can hoover into us. And this structure knows how to access the light production, and it knows how to access
The sound.
production of poisons.
The bio.
And it also carries intelligence in itself and has the ability to make decisions. This is some.
Because it's all one. Because it's all one. You have to work really hard to distract yourself from what it is that I'm showing you. The things that I'm showing. Not because it's me. I'm nothing special. I'm just a messenger here. What I'm saying is that once you get eyes on the system, start there, because I can offer that to you. I can offer to show you how to see it. So if you start there and you got eyes on it, right, then I don't want to say it loses its magic, but after a little while of looking at it and seeing it, you just see it for what it is. You don't have to guess anymore. A lot of the stuff that you're talking about here, this is the way that the system works, but you're calling it computer. You're using, almost claiming like it's
Something
an
that
alien force
is just
that
implied by the fact that he said we needed to optimize cluster topology. It's a little bit far out, it's a little bit speculation within this, but it gives me a kind of triggering moment when I listen to the word smart dust. Yeah? I get the feeling that this somehow is related to this capability of these.
Okay, smart dust. The reason why I went for your black goo first, the rocks that you got, that you were calling the black goo, that one, those stones, and those were supposedly carried around by people and stuff, and they're these very special sacred rocks that I'm trying to show you. Are nothing special really and sacred about them. I'm trying to actually find something special about them right now. I'll talk about it in a little bit. That's why I started at the rocks, because when I bring you through the ice, the rocks, the snowbanks, the water, all the other things that I'm going to bring you in on to show you that the imagery is equal in all of them, and I'm going to try to show you the builders and get your head around the builders so you'll understand me when I'm pointing at the builders and pointing them out. I haven't done a lot of that yet in your series. I'm going to do it more than I ever have before, and I'm going to point out these builders to you in every single way and in every color that I can and everything.
Optimized cluster topology to carry intelligence and to make its own decisions, if you want to say. So this basically is just by looking at the spots where these people are among themselves and listening to some
And this, what you're talking about now, is all controllable, even on the human scale, not because they could control the current, because they can interfere with the current by using different sine waves, heavy metals, things of this nature, different ingredients. And by changing those ingredients, then the current will have a different effect, whether that be visually with the visualization of this, or the sound. And each of these things are going to have an effect on the human body, just like every other creature, because we are electrical creatures that have gone bio. And so we don't even pay attention to our electrical selves. If we do, then we consider them space alien technology and something special, and an RNA and DNA, and we all just get too sciencey and medically about it all, rather than just seeing it for what it is, and filled up with all the distractions that are everywhere. That's what keeps happening. All right, and within the next 5 videos or something like that, I'm going to start introducing you to the builders more and more. Hopefully, when you come to these, you'll get it all.
People who spoke out before they died. And the thing now I want to mention, this is the address to the intelligence community. I'm hardcore scientist, but I really appreciate the possibilities that lie in the spiritual world. And I had so many open questions to this whistleblower that I decided to attend a lady.
A whistleblower who blows the whistle on a bunch of bullshit stories, as usual, because there's all bullshit stories. So,
that can talk to people who I don't. And I didn't inform her at all about the topic or about the questions I had. I just asked her, can you see if the soul is willing to appear in a session? And he immediately was there, and he immediately started to talk to her.
He was immediately able to talk to you. If you would have opened your mind, you should know that by now. That energy is all one. The energy is all one. So in other words, she may really be communicating with that energy. And if she is, then you could have just communicated with that energy yourself. You don't need to go through somebody else. It's like,
didn't even know about the topic. She didn't know my questions. I just told her I would like to have that guy in front of me. And he immediately started to talk through her. And he said, this is alien technology. It is not human technology. And we have been fooled. There is no deactivation code. It doesn't exist. It's just a big scam that they kind of offered to us to let us think that we could control the system. But this is alien technology, and it is not controllable.
It is controllable. You just said in the last couple of sentences that you know about the geoengineering. The system is totally controllable. You can turn off and on cells and open and close cells in all creatures, trees, livestock, humans, all creatures have these cells that can be open and closed depending on their light source, upon the chemical balance and heavy metal balance that you were talking about earlier, and depending on the sine waves that you're feeding them and the frequencies you're running on. So if you know about these things, as we do, human beings, we do know about these things. So instead of looking at them for what they are, no, we're going to say it's space aliens, and we have no control over it, right?
No anymore to us. And this is the thing I would like the intelligence community to know. That they're sitting on a big scam, and they are not controlling the system. They believe they do, but they are not.
Oh, wow.
Okay. This to the whistleblowing. And now we come to the things that we really, really, really can see in the lab. And if you go one step back to the chemical analysis, the elements you find. On one hand, you have this type of
Okay, so here comes a couple parts where he says something that is factual.
fingerprint. You find barium, strontium, titanium, and aluminum. wherever plants die, these are the metals that can be found. In, let's say, a slight overdose, more than nature should have in it. If you now check toxicology, it's not even close to the amount of heavy metals nature can take without suffering. If you look back at acid rain times, 1,000 times more heavy metals were soluted within the soil, entering the plant system. If you look back at industrial revolution, we didn't have filters burning coal like hell. You know, the times when London was buried under heavy smoke. We had much more, 1,000 times more heavy metals in the system than today, and nothing serious happened. So
That's correct.
at that point, we had to stop.
That's correct. Nothing serious happened, but they were able to create big dust bowls in Colorado. They were able to create hurricanes, tornadoes, control rain, how much of one country or state or area was going to get the rain. Because they, at that time, by the time the Industrial Revolution was here, they were already learning that how to control, how to bounce the natural current around. Once you learn, so now you had two things in control, right? The human population, the 7.8 billion. I'm not talking about the Freemasons. I'm not talking about 10 people. I'm talking about 7.8 billion people all fucking knew this because we could all see it. So the Industrial Revolution, all these stacks are going up. You can put all the filters you want on those fucking stacks. It's a carbon system. The carbon goes back to the system whether you like it or not. You can bury it in the fucking ground after you're done filtering it. What are you going to do with those filters? They go in the ground and eventually it goes back to the system anyways. It all goes up into the atmosphere and eventually it ends up there. And which the speed that it ends up into the atmosphere is what you're controlling by doing that. So you have your Industrial Revolution. Now you're big on all the filters and everything. It really don't fucking matter. You're just causing yourself more problems for the system by saving the trees, right? Because the trees are stealing all of our energy. The trees steal all of our waters, which also contain a lot of the minerals that you're talking about that we need. And they also steal the energy from the sky because we need some shade. Bullshit. Way too many trees. We've never had more trees on this earth ever. So another thing that we've done, we've gone too far bio. So it's kind of opposite of what you're saying here, Harold. The way things are. I know you did this video quite a few years ago now already. So maybe you've changed your mind on some of these things as you've gone along. I don't know, but that what you just said there too is can be provably wrong.
Start looking at optical analysis, microscope analysis of particles that we found in the rain, which is difficult because you need to take thousands of photos and samples to be lucky to have one sample that is giving you a pure fraction of one component. If you have the entire mixture, you see nothing. And so the things I'm going to show now basically are based on the work of a guy in Germany who spent 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 hours a day in front of a microscope to find out what is in the rain. And one component is a piezoelectric nanocrystal. This is kind of a...
Okay, and what that guy spent 5-6 years at looking through a microscope, never saw what I'm about to show you now, is pretty incredible.
Pure sample of the thing. You can see it has some kind of magnetism that makes the little particles join each other like magnets, which is one aspect of this piet.
Which is going to end up being something to do with temperature. Something to do with temperature at some points in these things' lives, like for example, icebergs or these other things, these spiky situations and stuff. I was trying to narrow it down to a different mineral or a different sine wave or frequency, but what I did notice is temperatures have something to do with all that.
Piezoelectric properties. And the most amazing thing, if you look it up, piezoelectric properties would could be expected with barium, strontium, titanium, which is kind of a fingerprint, barium, titanium, strontium that we are looking for. There's no aluminum in it, but 3 of the elements are contained in this piezoelectric crystal, and we can see that this is a extreme.
I'll just point out there, again, you probably did this video a couple years ago, but there are about 20 different heavy metals and what we would consider heavy metals, and oh man, at least 100 different minerals, maybe more, of different other minerals, some of them we might even consider chemicals, that are in these mineral streets that you call chemtrails. And they were being used already for a long, long time. Even the Indians, the Native American Indians, and even the Australian natives that are still existing today and still run around. If you read between the bullshit stories that were handed down to those natives, right, you'll see they were doing what we called rain dances, and we made a joke of it since we've been around. We make a joke of the rain dances. And we think that they thought they were going to cause rain just by dancing around a fire. No, they didn't. The original ones, the natives, nah, they didn't. They had someone figured out in their cultures that you can add these certain minerals. If I burn these certain logs with these certain stones and rocks as my fire pit, and I added these certain plants and tree bark to the fire, we would eventually get rain. And they may not have called them barium, strontium, lithium, and aluminum oxide carbons. They might not have called them that, but that's what they were using. And then by the time it got passed down further and further generations, when it got to us, the white boys, when the white boys took over everything, then we definitely, lying motherfuckers, man. We were some of the biggest lying motherfuckers ever. So we were trying to abolish all of that. So we would say that if we saw somebody dancing around a fire, it wasn't the dance around the fire that was making it rain. It was the minerals that they were putting into the fire. But again, we're lying motherfuckers.
Interesting crystal, because this is now a raindrop dried on a piece of glass, put under the microscope, and when you remove the top layer.
Wait to see this. I might have to fall into the next video. I'm already at 27 minutes.
Come with your finger close to the drop, or just breathe on top of it. You will see certain effects.
It's not this one.
I'm going to show it.
That's all right. I'll go to another one. No, I'll do this one too. All right, so this is one of them that he's on. I think he blows this up, actually. Pretty sure he blows it up. It's filled with imagery. You see, Harold? Without a filter on. Let me put a filter on for you. Put this red filter on for you. Might help you out a little bit. See all the faces? Okay. And you can even see the layers that he has on the glass from the liquid. Let's look at some of these back layers. You're looking at the ones that are lit up right now, okay, by the microscope. So let's look at some of the back layers in there in the dark. Same way that the clouds do it. Same way the rocks do it. Because leading up to the rocks, you have atmosphere. Okay. Let's go back to the lit areas with the light so I can get in there a little deeper for you. Adjust this. Just like I was showing you the other day in the clouds, like take some of these, right? Eye, nose, mouth down here. Looks like it's going to come in feline because of the nose and the shape of the lips, or rodent, possibly rodent. Okay, see the dark area where the eyes are? Then the lighter areas with the light on them, bouncing off them, and then you get the nose and the bottom part of the mouth and everything. And then above, on the, where the head is, where it's white again, my stick. Same thing I was showing you in the clouds. What in the clouds I was comparing this to nano rope. And nano rope can be in any color, so this white would be a nano rope, and this would be a nano rope. You have to look in for all the triangles. See all the triangles everywhere, the millions upon millions of triangular shapes everywhere. Because like if you see a line like this mouth right here, right? So eye, nose, trying to get to it, nose, mouth open, chin down here, right? Eyes are blacked out, no pupils. The mouth is open, blacked out. No, nothing inside the mouth at this angle. You can make out the image very good. It's a human image, right? Okay. Triangles. When you look into this triangle, there are millions of triangles inside of other triangles. So when you see something long that goes down like this, which make up, so the two nostrils here, triangle of this image. But it runs off this way, this darkness. It just adds color, texture to that particular image of that face. And it's going to be used, of course, for something else. When I turn it another way, it'll be used for something else. Because it's image within image within image within image. Okay. Let's see what else I got out of it real quick, and then we'll move on. I'm already at 30-something minutes. So like right back here, you got the complete human face. I got it kind of separated from the rest of them. See the hair up here? Hair's right here. Forehead here. Eye. Nose. If I can get on it. Nose. You can see the nostrils on his nose. His teeth are showing. Big smile on his face. Chin. Everything. Right? Might even look like he might, even if I keep him around here, it might look like some body imagery, shoulders and chest area and stuff, if I could get it to go that way. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying if I fucked around with my angles, I might be able to pull in some possible body imagery, if not confirmable. But I mean, the fucking face is undeniable. Um, and then, you know, right up above him, you got this one looking down, which starts a whole row of other faces that should be clear to you. But eye, big nose, and again with the big shit-eating grin. Which just starts another row of faces as they go along. Using both colors, many colors, but the dark and the white. It's like you have to look in there for those eyes, right? Eye in the dark of this, and this ends up being some hairline for him, this white up here, and you can see the white around his face on this one I was talking about a minute ago, which seems to me, on the one I got in my view, he seems to be in the rodent category. Let's see where else it goes. Oh, there's shit going on back here and stuff too, though. It's funny, you know. Fucking nobody sees it. You know, so it's funny, you know, 4 or 5 weeks, you said, Harold, that this guy had his face in the microscope. It's just funny to me that none of you ever see this. Why am I the one that is coming out and telling you guys this stuff, and then when I do, all I get is denial, because everyone's got these built-in fucking programs that they believe things really are this way. It's really weird. You know, you spend all that time and no one sees it. It's fucking weird.
This is just a slight change in air temperature and infrared radiation.
Ah, see what I was just saying a minute ago? Yep, so you changed some of the light, the color, the light spectrum color, not the light spectrum. I mean, you could have, if you change the light spectrum itself, the amount of the light also makes a big difference in things.
From a human body. So we have highly transparent nanoparticles.
This is the one I wanted to go in on.
They have a refraction that is 4 times higher than the one of diamonds. That, if you look it up on Wikipedia, you can read there that they are valid for scalar applications. That they can be used in applications utilizing time reverse field structures. It is a set of physics that is not in the public domain. It's scalar physics, but even in Wikipedia it is mentioned as one of the particles that has the ability to handle and process scalar waves. Let's put it this way, maybe.
Okay, Wikipedia. This is so hard for me. This is so hard because you're gonna just think I'm just being a dick about everything, you know. So it's hard not to be. Wikipedia is just like using Google, or like like opening a dictionary, or going to college. You know, they're full of shit. It's like watching the History Channel. You know, they're full of shit. All of everything out of their fucking mouths and everything they write is a fucking lie. Yes, you can find little bits and pieces of truth here and there. Yes, but not much. And then any truth is no longer truthful when one part of it is a lie. That's the hardest thing that people seem to understand, is that they'll say like, oh yeah, this is true, it's provable, and that's provable, and this is a fact, and we checked it under the microscope and we ran DNA tests on it, and it's definitely true and we carbon dated it and it's definitely true? No, because there's little lies in between all of those so-called truths, which make it no longer true, no longer factual. You have to take it all back to the beginning, and start over again and just go by what you can prove. But I got to say, the education must be helpful somewhere along the line. It seems to be for me, any little bit of things I have learned with my terrible memory and my self-education, anything that I am able to remember in history books and stuff like that, it is fun to go back and look at all the lies. I do enjoy looking at it and say, wow, how could I have ever believed this fucking nonsense? None of the story makes any sense. Um, they just make it up as they go.
This is the reason for the plant death, because the crystal is highly transparent, but it absorbs UV light. At 260 nanometer wavelength, it is 100% opaque, absorbing UV signals. And this is exactly the frequency where the plants are processing the cell division impulse. Cell division occurs if a UV biophoton is hitting a cell. This is kind of the
which has all been interrupted by the mineral streets. The mineral streets affect that. We've lost our connection night and day. For some reason, I gotta say too, I'll point out, because you do know so much about a lot of the shit that I'm gonna say, you'll understand it a lot more than the average person while I'm just saying. The mineral streets, them changing the atmosphere and changing our connection. You noticed, well, obviously you haven't noticed, but I'm going to point something out to you, and you go look and you'll notice. They don't have the same effect during the nighttime that they do the daytime. They don't run the mineral streets as heavy at night as they do the day, unless they're trying to do a big buildup. Unless they're trying to do a large buildup for a big storm they got coming, or and it don't have to be above my head. It could be a storm they got worked out of. Like if they're going to be running, let's say, tornadoes, or hurricanes or something somewhere, right? I'll hear about it on the news or whatever. I'll keep an eye out for it. Sometimes they predict it like 3 weeks in advance, and then you can watch the trails and the mineral streets, I call them. You watch the mineral streets, they'll go way the fuck up, and even at nighttime they'll be running them. But the nighttime trails don't have the same effect. Put it this way, a full moon, I can be showing the trails, showing the imagery all around the moon in the trails, or the clouds, what you call clouds. And all that, and nobody sees it. I see it plain as day. I shine the camera all over it. I'm all over the shit. And I talk to my neighbors. Oh yeah, that's cool. They'll see an image or something, and that's it. No one fucking zombies. It's all zombified. So, anyways, there's something to that, because certain photons are missing at nighttime that you don't get at night that you would during the day with the sun. So the image wise, and that's not why I'm not saying that's why the governments and the secret societies lay out the trails. I know that it's just to control the weather. I'm just pointing it out that there is a difference. The only time they run them at nighttime, though, usually is when there's going to be a big storm somewhere. Otherwise, they just don't seem to do it. And they are able to steer them. It doesn't have to be over my head. Like I said, they can push them off and run the storm somewhere else. So, anyways, let's
trigger to tell the cell, please divide into two. And if you have these particles within the plant tissue, you absorb all these cell division signals, and the plant stops growing.
Take, for example, your garden again. I like giving these examples because they're easy experiments. I was telling you the same thing about the hybrid chickens. Okay, you're all about saving the trees and all that shit. I'm the opposite. I'm saying the trees are a big fucking downfall for humankind. They've fucked us up. We've gone too far bio. So if you go and, what do I have for minutes here? Oh, fuck. Can I get it out this fast? I don't think so. Okay, to what you just said there, Harold, you can take a hybrid tomato plant it, a hybrid seed of a tomato plant. Genetically modified, take one that's genetically modified, take one that's just a hybrid, and take one that's an organic. Three tomato plants, all the same strains, right, of tomato plant, but just one's a hybrid, one's a GMO, and one's a natural, all organic that you guys are eating. All right, number one, there's a difference in the amount of metallus that is in the one that's organic. The one that's organic is going to have a lot more metallus than the hybrid, and then also the GMO, the genetically modified one, is going to have less metallus than even the hybrid. The hybrid will still have metallus, but it'll have less. And I guess it depends on what it was mixed with, whatever the hybrid is and how they developed it. All right, I'm running out of time. Put them all in similar situations. Even do a triple test, and put them in a closet. Put them in a closet or somewhere dark where they're hardly getting any sunlight, and then treat them all the same. All right, it's going to roll into the next video. I'm not going to have time to finish my thought, but what I'm trying to say is that the hybrid tomato, you in the closet in a dark area, you'll notice the difference in the amount of metallus that it takes on and is able to. You'll notice how if you treat them all three of them the same with the same amount of water, and then in another closet you can do something similar, and you'll look at the lifespan of them. The hybrids and the GMOs, they grow with less light, they grow with less water, they don't pull up the metallus. You're not able to extract the same amount of metallus. As a matter of fact, the genetically modified, whether it's a chicken, meat, bird, whatever it is for meat type thing compared to vegetables, it's really the same as with the metallus. There's less metallus in anything that's treated. With the chemicals that we're complaining about, we'll complain about these chemicals and everything. It's almost like the same trick with the trees, they try to make us feel sorry for the trees and that there were so many trees here before and we're killing them all. That's what you're saying right now, Harold. You're talking about the trees and the kill off. It's not what you think. It's the other way around. It's opposite of that. The trees are not supposed to be here the way they are. Not this many, not this much. It's no longer a help to the biosystem anymore. It's a curse on it. They soak up our water, they soak up our energy, take all of our minerals from us, disconnect us from the system, just like they're doing with the atmosphere. I'll be back.